live at the Sedona Rouge Hotel, who's one of our sponsors, along with Black Magic Cameras and Digitech. So I want to thank them as well. And joining me now is Alessandro with, tell me your film.
Pizza, Democracy, and the Little Prince.
And the Little Prince. And there's a purpose for each of those in the title.
There is, of course. We came up with this title because, well, first of all, it sounds good. It's like, it's very catchy. People are just getting curious about it. And there's definitely like also a deeper meaning, which is these three elements, they all connect the protagonist of the film in some way. So there are three things they have in common and they share, but at the same time, you know, both pizza and democracy and the Little Prince are things that can be tasted differently depending on the country you go. So I definitely can say that about pizza because I'm from Italy, and democracy I think also it's quite relative to the countries you go in, and it takes different shapes. And the Little Prince was kind of a huge surprise for us when it came out in the film. I don't know if I
that
can
was
spoil.
Classic. That, no, you know, that was really beautiful. Actually, that was a really beautiful thing. So to set up the story, it's a documentary, and it was with Syrian refugees. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And so you took like other children from other parts of the country or the world.
Yeah, they're students. They were all there during that month in Istanbul, volunteering for a Turkish organization called Give a Hand, which gave us access to the Syrian kids that you know, they're living in very vulnerable conditions in Istanbul. They're not very easy to just to go and see them in the neighborhood because so many issues, and they gave us the opportunity to make this film happen in such an unusual constellation when you have students, international students from China, the US, from Europe, also from countries that don't have a really they have an anti-immigrant government at the moment, so it was very important for example, the Polish girl to be there from the Hungarian guy, and that was made possible by you know, this organization and the amazing Aleftina, the producer, and Andras, also this Hungarian guy who, yeah, met me in Milan, and it all started from there. I think I cooked a nice meal for him. He was like, I enjoyed this meal, and I put you in touch with the producer.
That's where it started.
Yeah.
But you know what really surprised me too, because I'm just going to say this out, you know, out loud. But you know, my take when I knew it was Syrian children and refugees, for some reason I'm not even sure what I thought about. I thought, oh, this is going to be sad, or this is going to be like, you know, to hear their journey, it's going to be really difficult. And so when I started watching it, that was just my anticipation of what it was going to be like. But then all of a sudden you have the students asking, you know, questions of, you know, the other students, and I was really surprised about the commonality between, you know, two children or a teenager and a child talking about their lives and asking questions. And they were very inquisitive about, you know, things that it wasn't even questions about, you know, where they lived or how they lived, but it was just like, do you like pizza? Or, you know, it was just like really interesting questions that they had, and their responses were really interesting.
Yeah. We tried to give up control on the direction that the conversation were taking in front of our eyes. Also due to, you know, necessity, we didn't share in most of these cases. We didn't share we didn't have any common language, any language in common. So there was an interpreter, Mohammed Shalabi, who was translating from Arabic to English, and then in some cases there was another interpreter sitting next to him, translating from English into Chinese, and then he was bouncing back from to English and then to Arabic so that the Syrian kid could understand, and they could, for the first time, and that's our big pride, for the first time they could actually have a conversation that was happening almost simultaneously together. And they were there for this volunteering program, so the students were there to give classes, math classes, English classes to the Syrian kids, but they never had the chance to communicate, and I'm so glad that happened and worked out in this magical way, because we let it was difficult, to go back to your question, to trigger the conversations, because we didn't have any power on that, apart from, you know, we give a few hints of how to lead the conversation to certain topics, but then we just got surprised by what the kids were coming out, and we just let it go, and we wanted to make sure they were feeling comfortable. We briefed them, like telling them, you really can ask any question, maybe you're interested in China, and ask about that, but things like, you know, what do you wear in China? We cannot formulate a question like that, or like, why are you wearing glasses? Like,
yeah.
From that from that very simple question, we realized something was suddenly unlocking an understanding of not just the Syrian kids as refugees, or we're used to see them portrayed in media, but we get a better understanding also of the, let's say, the Westerners, of the students. For example, you know, there's well, I don't want to say too much, but we get an amazing insight with this technique that we just experimented for the first time, of not just how the Syrian kids, you know, their conditions and situation, but also what is their curiosity, what is driving them about to learn more about the students, about our lives, let's say. So the intention behind it was to enable the kids to be in the powerful position in the interview. So we put them in the right hand side of the frame. After we mic'd them up, we told them, okay, whenever you feel like, just call your guest in, and yeah, the interview. You can start your interview, and they kind of, at first they sit down, and then lights went on, and got very shy. And okay, we thought this is never gonna happen. So after a while, they got braver and braver, and that we knew we got something there.
Yeah, no, you got a lot. I mean, you know, really, the film was so interesting because, you know, and I don't want to give it all away either, but I think the little Syrian boy, I don't know what his name is, but he said something like, one of their girls said, well, you know, she was afraid of something, and he goes, why are you afraid? And I thought that was such an interesting dichotomy, because here, you know, he's the one who should have been afraid, and yet he was the one who was going to protect this girl who had this fear of, you know, snakes or something, you know, and he would protect her. And so I thought, wow, that was really cool, you know, just to see this, like I said, this commonality together of that we're all one, and I'll take care of you, you know.
Yeah, I hope that this film will allow us to see also the vulnerable side of not just of the kids, which are often, as I said, portrayed as victims or as refugees in need of help. It also shows that, you know, we can relate on many things that we share, and we focused on showing what they have in common rather than separate us from them. So. Mm-hmm. And trying to go beyond this logic of, you know, us and them. once again trying to flip the roles in the media coverage of who's entitled to representing their struggle. And so that was a question from the beginning for me personally. Why am I doing this why am I trying to make something with the Syrian kids? I think it's been done over and over again. So that's why we wanted to give it an original take, I think. So I hope it works out.
You did a beautiful job. So thank you very much, and thank you for being part of the Sedona Film Festival. It's been great.
Oh,
having you.
I'm really. This was the world premiere, by the way. So I'm.
Oh, good.
We hope
Thank
to
you.
take the film somewhere else, and I'm very pleased to be here. And thank you for your hospitality and to be able to screen the film.
Well, awesome.
Here.
I hope you keep in touch with us because I want to see more of what you're doing. So thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll be back with more from the Sedona International Film Festival after this.